This is going to start out sounding a little normal, but by the end, I promise you, it's going to get more interesting. Welcome back, and thank you for the time and the opportunity, your time, and I hope you're enjoying the drink. I just want to give you a little bit more information about the Moodle world, and then I want to talk about where my mind, what the things I'm thinking about lately about the next 50 years, and the things we have to do. You know, we may as well, 50 years, why not? This is the Moodle mission, right? This is the purpose of the project. And it's about empowering educators to improve the world with the most effective platform for learning. And these are all very intentionally chosen words, as you might imagine. So we're not about teaching students directly. I, as an Australian, Greek, German, whatever, I cannot go to Tanzania and teach their students directly, because it would be improper. It's culturally not good. Educators there should be teaching the people there, but we can share tools where it's appropriate that are common. So that's what this is about. And there's a very intentional focus on improving the world, because education is actually the only way we can solve the world's problems. And if we can help in that way, I think it makes sense. We have 5 values, and normally with corporate values, they're somewhere on the AGM liner notes somewhere, or a page on a website. I'm telling you them now up front because they really mean something. Obviously, we value education. This is an education environment. Every conversation is an education. Talking to your child is an education. Talking to your parents is an education. Like, education is most of what human beings do. And it's important to put value on that and say this is a valuable thing that we do. This is what makes us human. The second thing is openness. Moodle is open source. We're very transparent. Everything. If you want to see every little action, every line of code that's been changed, you can see it. If you want to see the discussion that happened led to that one line of code to change, you can see it. You can go deep as you want and see everything. Respect is very important. So respect is with other individuals, but also cultures, languages. So Moodle supports a couple of hundred languages. We've still got a few thousand to go, but we're definitely tackling the big ones. And that's because, again, I don't think everyone should be learning in English. By the way, I really appreciate you having this event in English for me. That is something that I always really, really appreciate every time. Integrity. So integrity is actually a way of making life very simple. If you're honest and you do what you say and you say what you do, life becomes very easy. It's just a way of making life easy. But it also just makes society easy, I think, you know, and I think there should be more of that. Of course, every politician will stand up and say they stand for integrity, but then they don't necessarily always carry through, and it becomes obvious after a while. Innovation is also a value. So everything we do is actually to inspire innovation. So most of the innovation in Moodle-based education has not come from me or from my company or from even people I know. A lot of it comes from the community who are contributing their own innovation. It could be the way they use it in an institution, it could be a whole plugin, it could be a piece of code, it could be an integration, there's lots of development that happens as well in the Moodle community. Obviously we're open source, and last year we became certified as a certified B corporation, and it's a very difficult certification to get, but it basically says that it certifies all the things I'm saying, that we're here for purpose, not for profit. This is not a for-profit thing. We actually don't have any profits in our company. We might have excess money in a particular year, but it just all goes back in. So it's not like most Silicon Valley companies which are designed to funnel cash out, right? The company exists as a cash machine so that certain people can take cash out. In education, when that happens, you're taking money away from education. Why are we doing that? Well, it doesn't make any sense. So that's how we operate. So here's a rough map of the Moodle world now. And these are the registered sites that I talked about, and you probably can't read that at the back. It's 179,000 or so registered sites, but there's a lot more out there. And yeah, every country, pretty much. In higher education, this is the best statistics we have. It's from an organisation called ListEdTech, and they've intentionally looked at every higher education institution to see what learning management systems they use, and this is their statistics. They're by continent: Africa, South America, Asia, Middle East, Europe, Oceania, North America, and then the world. So it's about 2/3 of higher education use Moodle in some way. And those numbers apply to the Moodle learning management system, but we actually have all these other things around it. So there are some products. There's Moodle Workplace, which we talked about earlier, and that's designed for workplaces specifically, workplace learning, some more training, bite-sized stuff, programs, certifications, that stuff. We have an app. We have MoodleNet. MoodleNet is quite exciting to me because what it does is it joins all of these many thousands of Moodle sites together to share content. So you can push content from any Moodle site out to a place and get it back into everywhere else. And what happens in MoodleNet is anybody, you can go there right now, moodle.net, and you can start curating lists of things that you think are the best resources. So maybe you're teaching human health, and you might make a list. Here are the 10 best resources on the internet about health. This is like the 10 best things, I recommend them. And if other people like them, they'll give them lots of thumbs up, it'll bubble up, and then someone who's teaching health somewhere else in the world, they can very easily from their Moodle site do a search, find it, and push all those resources into their course. And now they have the 10 best resources on health in the world. So it's a way, it's like Pinterest, probably, if you're used to Pinterest, but it's for education resources. It's also open source, and I'm going to talk a bit about later. I don't know how much time I got. I think I might just skip a lot of this. And this is the sustainability stuff over there, the services. So we have certified service providers, like Wired Services. We have Moodle Cloud, which is a very quick way to get a Moodle site, very cheap. And we have hundreds of thousands of Moodle sites on there. And Moodle Academy, which is our free online university for online learning. So if you want to learn how to use Moodle as a teacher, as an administrator, as a developer, there are courses and learning pathways, and you can do it all for free. It's all completely free. If you want a certification, we charge something for that. So that's sort of 200 euros to get a certification. And here are all the Moodle, there's many Moodle partners around the world in the different countries. And we're getting our community together, including all those partners, and about 1,000 people are coming together in Barcelona next week. We have our Moodle Moot, our global Moodle conference, and that's very exciting. It includes 120 people from the Moodle company. The rest is all just everybody from around the world. It's absolutely bananas. It's going to be a crazy event, actually. I try and make sure we have the best parties that I've ever seen. I love a good party, so we have this. I can't even start describing it, but we have good parties. Right, I'm not going to go into all the product details because I want to get onto the future stuff, but very quickly, some of the things we're working on, we're focusing on, is there is a measure called the Net Promoter Score that is used by Silicon Valley stuff. You know, when you get asked on a product sometimes, would you recommend this to a colleague from 0 to 10? So just that question, that's the Net Promoter Score. And we use that as a way of wrapping up a lot of people's feelings about what we're doing. And we aim to always increase that. And it's been increasing. In the recent release of Moodle 4.0, we spent 2 years making a whole new interface, and remember it's a 20-year-old product, so it did need an upgrade. So Moodle 4.0, which most of you probably aren't using yet, is a big jump up in usability. And that's results are already coming in. This slide was made by my product manager, who points out that we get 60 for Workplace now in March, and that's the same as Apple. I don't know, I'm an Apple user, I do love Apple products, but that's pretty amazing. Yeah, we've been restructuring our teams, but it's probably too much detail. I haven't really prepared a special presentation for this. I've just got off holidays. I was actually in Milos until yesterday, and Santorini, and I had a little holiday. The first holiday I really had in a very long time, so I really shut down, so I didn't have enough time to prepare. We're doing a lot of work internally as we grow, to make sure we deliver faster and better. If you ever go to Moodle.org right now, it doesn't look very good. It's very old. But we have a brand new Moodle.org that's landing in about a week, and it makes the whole community experience a lot better. And we're migrating a lot of our community and our discussions to a messaging product called Matrix. Has anybody ever heard of Matrix? Not Neo Matrix. So I think in Greece, a lot of people use Facebook Messenger. Is that probably the most popular? I'm seeing a lot of nods. Or WhatsApp. There's also Telegram. There's all these platforms, right? Now the problem with them all, well, not the problem, I mean, we all use them a lot of the time. Messaging is becoming one of the main ways we use these things. We're using messaging all the time. A web-based product like Moodle, even if it has an app, it doesn't really have that same fluid feeling of a messaging platform. So we really want to bring Moodle into the messaging world and make it more usable in a messaging way, so you can use it for learning through messaging. And we're not going to use Facebook because it's evil. We're not going to use WhatsApp because it's evil too. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg and Meta and all that, you know, that is a profit-focused thing. They are using your data, they are selling your data, and they are abusing your rights. But so it won't be those. Even Telegram, which I quite like, is still a commercial product that we can't really integrate very well. And there are others as well. But this one is a completely open source implementation of messaging that is really good. And the reason why it's really good is it's like email. So I can install a messaging server, or your institution can install, your company can install a messaging server. And so my address is martin@moodle.com, just like an email address. And I can message you on your server, just like an email, but we're having a chat. So it's like chat, but like email at the same time. And we can all run our own servers, and we can all talk to each other, and we can all be in groups together, and it has all the same features. So we are moving everything to Matrix. We're putting a lot of our weight behind Matrix. There's already 90 million people on Matrix, and it's growing exponentially. And so I see it as the future. So that's what the Moodle community looks like already in Matrix. And I showed you here something called Element. This is just like email. We all use different email programs. We don't, some of us use maybe Gmail or Outlook, or some use Thunderbird or whatever. You can use whatever software you like. Email is still email, right? Same with this. So there's lots of messaging. You can pick your own messaging program and still talk. Right. Well, a little bit about Moodle 4. A lot of focus on UX. I I won't go too deep into this because it's not probably the right venue, but you can ask me questions if you want to afterwards. We are focusing on the next version now, 4.1. There's work on the database activity, a lot of improved interface. The grade book is getting a lot of upgrades. And here are some screenshots of the database. The database tool in Moodle is a way of collecting lots of data. So you might say, if it was in a school, you might say, hey everybody, go out with your mobile phones, take a photo of a plant in the environment, upload the picture into the database and identify the name of the plant and maybe some interesting information about it. And now your class has created a database of local plants. And now as a teacher, you might use that as the next activity. Say, okay, I don't know, write a poem about 2 plants from the database, or anything as a teacher that you can imagine. And that's how Moodle's designed, that you combine activities one after the other. You use the previous stuff in the next activity, and you roll it down. So the database is a very generic tool where you can collect all kinds of information. That's quite useful. Yep, the gradebook is a lot simpler, a lot cleaner looking. There's a lot of styling changes. A little bit about what's in not the far future, next couple of years for Moodle, some of the big things. I already talked about messaging. That's something we're going to be bringing into the experience very closely. Another one is that there will be templates for everything. So when you create a new course, a little bit like your word processor, when you're trying to make a document and it says, do you want to make a blank document or do you want to choose one of these templates? Maybe it's a resume or a brochure. So we'll have a lot of templates and we're going to do that everywhere in Moodle. And the third thing, we have something called the plugins service, which means all of these community plugins that exist that add features, there's like 2,000 of them, will be available from the interface like an app store. So you can say, yep, I want this plugin and this plugin and this plugin, and it'll add them to your Moodle site instantly. And that's some of the major directions. It will also integrate with Open EdTech, which I'm going to get to next. Workplace. We're 4.0 is coming out this month. There are a lot of new features coming. I'll show you quickly, and we're focusing on this in the future. Some more reports, learning catalogues. There's going to be a lot more graphs, a lot more reports, a lot more visual stuff going on. So here's some screenshots of how the new interface looks like in Workplace 4.1. This is how it looks vanilla. So Moodle is extremely customizable. I'm pretty sure who here has a Moodle site? Can I have some hands? Who here has a Moodle site? Can I have some hands? Okay, like 10, 12 people. Okay, great. So, hey? Everyone, okay, well, so you're just probably not listening. So your Moodle site probably looks very different to this because it's been customized by the wonderful wide services. And that's the thing, Moodle's very flexible and customizable, but the vanilla out-of-the-box experience, that's where we build the features and the structures, and then you can paint it and make it look nice later. So, and we have new apps that are looking really good, and a lot of UX work. That's the Academy I talked about. It's been going very strong. We have a lot of work happening there. MoodleNet I already talked about. There's some screenshots of it for the searching for materials. And I'm going to get on to the future. So, Moodle is 20 years old. It's not going to be around probably in 20 years in the future as it is now. Technology has been evolving, and Moodle is built on a stack of software like PHP and other things. It's 2 million lines of code roughly now, and we can continue developing it, but it's going to essentially remain a similar looking product for the foreseeable future. But the world is changing. So I'm doing a lot of thinking about what does the next generation look like? And if we were to start again now, which we are, at the same time as developing Moodle, so Moodle will keep developing, the new thing will be developing, and at some point, your Moodle sites will migrate to the new thing in 5 years, 10 years. So what does the new thing look like? So let's talk about education technology. Education itself is also a very debated topic. What is the future of universities is a common discussion that people from universities have with each other. Also, technology is changing rapidly in every aspect. I can't talk about all of that, but I can talk about the intersection and what I think makes sense as a structure. A lot of us are wearing technology. Probably all of you have a phone in your pocket or on the table right now near you. A lot of people are just wearing stuff in their ears all the time. They're wearing stuff on their, it won't be long before that will be electronic. I've got a watch on too. Probably a lot of you have an electronic watch. A very interesting thing about the watch is, as a wearable, who here has a watch, a smartwatch of some sort? Anybody? A few? Okay, like a good half of you. Now the thing with these watches is that they start giving you feedback on yourself, right? They start monitoring your behaviour and telling you about your own behaviour. And you learn about yourself through this little window here. That feedback mechanism is also what we need in education. Who has not tried a VR helmet? Who has not tried a VR helmet? Anybody not tried one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, get out there. There's probably places you can go in Athens. Go and try one. So, look, experiences vary. The technology has been early. My first VR helmet was in 1996, the VFX1. It had 320 pixel resolution and it made you very sick. But it was fascinating because to me it was science fiction coming true. Finally we were able to see into these little worlds. Right now it's getting very good, and these are the things you can buy now. These are augmented reality glasses that start putting the internet and digital information on top of the real world. And a lot of us are wearing glasses already. You're already putting this thing down next to your bed when you go to sleep, and you're picking it up in the morning and putting it on your face. It's not any different when that becomes an electronic thing. And all the processing doesn't need to even be in this little frame. A lot of it can be in this other thing you're already carrying around, and just Bluetooth connections, or future Bluetooth, is enough. So we're almost there. And the experiences you can have are quite good. And when big companies like Apple are going to be releasing augmented reality and virtual reality headsets beginning of the year, next year, you know it's becoming mainstream. Meta rebranded the whole company around. Facebook rebranded to Meta over this. So this stuff is happening. It can look like this. This is a Meta screenshot. It looks cartoony. It's surprising actually how your body adapts. Even when you have giant Mickey Mouse hands, your brain goes, yeah, I've got Mickey Mouse hands now, and it's okay, and you just use the virtual reality like that. But what we're going to see with augmented reality is a lot of this. Hopefully not so much advertising, but that's where the money is, that's the drivers. They will be putting advertising, and Meta have only talked about marketplaces and how they make money and so on, and it's a terrible conversation. I don't think anybody wants to be marketed at through the glasses you're wearing every day. This would be like a complete dystopia. However, that is the kind of experience we can expect. Digital world overlaid on top of the real world. And you'll be able to, there'll be a lot of useful applications for that. As you look into the world, you suddenly we are already doing the Google search, right? Oh, what was that? What was that song? Oh, Shazam, whatever, right? But probably you'll hear the music. The name of the song might just be floating in the air all the time, right? It's a simple example, but you can see it's not very far. So the resolution, the graphics that are possible now don't look like this. This is possible. This is, you look at Unreal Engine, which is a graphics engine. It's used now to make movies that have human beings, and you probably didn't even realize that the human beings were actually digitally generated, real time. And the CPU power of these little devices is big enough now to do that too. So you won't be able to distinguish the real from the virtual when it's overlaid together. So, right now I could just, take all your clothes off and whoosh, gone. Yeah, it's probably the worst example ever. I'll give you all party hats. So, it's that stuff will be possible, and everyone will have control over it themselves. And these devices will be able to communicate, well, they do communicate with each other. So I could imagine, a giant pink elephant right here, and if you say, oh, I'm accepting neighborhood visualizations, then you'll all see it in your glasses too. Okay, this is not science fiction. This is already being done. Again, all this is not very far from what we're doing. We're all looking into the black mirror. We're already looking into the digital world all the time. And these experiences that we look into are going to get more complex. I wish I'd changed this screenshot for another game I was playing on PlayStation, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Anybody played that? Yes? Gamer, excellent. When I was in Milos, I was like, I've been here already. It was so good. Because it's ancient Greece. It's all of Greece, and you can explore it and play in ancient Greece. The production of these games is something, the teams are usually around 2,000 people, 3,000 people. Amazing amounts of designers and so on creating these experiences. Has anybody ever read a manual for a game? No. You don't need a manual for the game because, I haven't got the screenshot, here we go. Because the game, these teams of people are creating education in the game. The education comes as part of it. It's kind of woven into the experience. And this is something we should be doing with our education. We need to weave it into our experience. So you don't go to a university and sit in a room and have an education. You sign up for an education and it just flows to you through all the devices. You can sort of see how that would happen. So you're sort of slowly learning to become an engineer while looking around the real world. You go, I'm learning to be an engineer. Oh wow, that pillar suddenly has forces on it and maybe history, and I'm starting to see around me through the eyes of an engineer. You see? Oh, shush, Siri. So, and they also have skill trees, which look remarkably like career progressions. And as your career progresses, imagine at any point you could sort of see your next step in your career as presented. The system is helping you get there. Now I want to talk about AI because I realise I said that in a very Australian way. Artificial intelligence, which I've also been following since I did my first computer science degree back 30 odd years ago. And mostly I've just been going, OpenAI, I'm about empowering educators, I'm about people, I'm about human communication, and the AI was mostly trying to replace teachers. Expert systems, blah, blah, blah. I've never been interested in it. I've been following it, but I'm like, yeah. But it's creeping in. You notice when you write an email now, you write half the sentence, it goes, oh, here's the rest of the sentence. We just go, yeah, tab, done. Right? You don't even think about it. That's pretty powerful, a little bit of AI happening right there every day. In about 3 years ago, Google were working on a translation problem. So they're working on a live translation problem. How to which would be fantastic right now if I could speak into this microphone in English and the speakers were coming out in Greek. That would be it's my dream. It's going to happen, right? But I want it now. So they were working on that problem, and they realized that you have to look forward. You have to predict to do that. To know how to finish the sentence in Greek, you need to finish it already in English, and then start working on the Greek, because you might have to say the Greek word early before, the order's different. So they were solving that problem, and they realized that they could just leave it running, and that you could predict a whole essay. You can just keep going. And these are called large language models. The way they've done it, they basically loaded millions of lines of text into a big brain, essentially, a neural net, and it is now able to predict entire things. So here are a couple of organizations that are forefront on that. This one is called OpenAI. Sounds nice. Turns out, Microsoft invested lots of money in it, and now it's not very open at all. And this is a recurring problem with technology. It starts becoming captured and locked in and made proprietary. This one is DeepMind. They don't even write that on their website. This is Google's DeepMind site, another huge research area. This one is cool, Stability AI, fairly recent. This is very open. And these are some of the people who are working on AI right now. Let me show you some of the things you can do. Actually, this area is evolving so fast on a week-to-week basis that my slides from last month are already out of date. But I'm going to show you that anyway. So this is a system, it's based on GPT-3, which is from OpenAI, and it's a company called Writesonic have just made something on top of it. And you can generate an essay or an article in about 30 seconds on anything you want. And it asks you for a title, it asks you for some headings, it says which one of these first sentences do you prefer, and you make a couple of decisions, and bang, it makes an essay. And you cannot tell that a human did not write it. It looks like a human wrote it. The only difference is there is no fact checking, no facts. Doesn't know how to look up anything to check facts. It's just statistically generating words. So here's a question, right? Write a poem about a confused raccoon in a computer programming class. I don't think anybody's ever done that before, but I sit in my chair, I stare at the screen. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I'm just a raccoon in a computer programming class. The teacher is talking, and I'm just nodding. I don't understand a single word. I'm just a raccoon in a computer programming class. I don't know why I'm here, but I'm just going along with the flow. I'm just a raccoon in a computer programming class. Now, I chose that one because it kind of matches the hopelessness that I hope you're starting to feel. That how do we assess student work? Any student can right now go and generate whatever you ask them to do with a computer. The very same AI can create images. So they've fed billions of images into the AI brain, and when you type some text, in this case, a photo of a confused raccoon in computer programming class, it spits out images. You don't like this one, you hit the button, you get another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. So I typed in the word Moodle into one of these things. It gave me a few weird images because it doesn't really know what Moodle is. It's like it's trying to summarize everything we've been talking about in an image. So here's what it did. So I picked one of them, and then I said, regenerate that, starting from that one, keep going. And then I did another one, keep going, and I ended up with that. Which is a pretty nice little illustration. Now, I did the same thing. This is another version of Moodle. Looks quite nice, actually. Looks a bit Byzantine to me. Here's another one. I like this one. I call it the wings of the mind. Here's one of a Moodle planet. Here's one of a tiled earth with a Moodle hat on it. Here's a more fancy one in a museum, I guess. Here's one of the Mona Lisa with a hat. Now that's not cut and pasted, that's generated. So the way it works is it starts with a few little dots. And it says, just like the text prediction, it does an image prediction. It goes, oh, here's a fuzzy image, I'm going to make it sharper. I predict that the pixel in between these two pixels is this colour. And it keeps doing that. And it just makes images. So it's very similar to how if I asked you to draw a dog, you can draw a dog. But you're not drawing a particular dog. You just have in your head many, many dogs that you know of. And now you can draw a dog. It's exactly that. Here's a future student I generated. I tried to make myself. It didn't really work. But still, it's quite a nice piece of art, right? The drawing. So we're facing a world where infinite amounts of information can be generated quickly. Somebody, at some point, and I'd be surprised that hasn't happened already, is going to make an alternate Wikipedia and just spit out an alternate Wikipedia. And that thing will start coming up on your web searches. And students of tomorrow, how do they know what's true? Right? Where are the ethics here? How do we make sure we're pushing ourselves towards these? Right? This is the global agenda. This is the roadmap for humanity. And I'm not just saying it. Every country in the world, except the US, has agreed that this is an agenda. Right? The sustainable goals. 17 goals for sustainable development. And they're about no poverty, climate change, fixing inequality, peace and justice, life below water, etc. Right? And this is the top level, and then there's lots of detail. There's nothing more important than this, right, for the planet. This is it. How are we pushing education towards this when everybody was going to be swimming in masses amounts of misinformation? We already are on social media. This is memes and jokes on social media. We're all getting a lot of it. We're all very distracted. But what if it's up to notch? I showed you the images we can generate. People are already making videos. You can now generate videos. Probably in a year or two, you'll be able to say, I would love a movie with Tom Cruise and SpongeBob in Hawaii, and they operate a car business, and I want 18 episodes, and you'll get it. And why would you watch anyone else's? But why would you read other people's creative works, right? Yeah, it's a hypothetical question, a rhetorical question, but yeah, I think there will be a lot of distraction, and I hope people are still drawn towards stuff that other people make. I think it's our job as educators to make sure that happens, but we will be flooded with vast, untold amounts of false and entertaining content. Say no to fake news. So, if this is the mission for us, I had another slide that dropped out. I think the mission for educators is about empowering learners to improve the world, and that's something that education really needs to take on, particularly in the face of this new technology. And if this new technology is in the hands of profit-focused people trying to make money, I think we're all in trouble. Because it's not just the devices anymore, it's literally everything we see. So, very quickly, I've probably gone over time a bit, have I? Should I stop? No. Give me another 5-10 minutes. Let me talk to you about the next thing. So this is what I'm proposing, is an open education technology framework. And it's different to Moodle because it's more than Moodle. It's like a whole layer of the internet that I think we need to build. We started this off in 2019. We had a conference in Barcelona. We had many people coming together to start forming the ideas around what this framework would look like. And the idea is that we build an Open EdTech Association, which is just about to be finished. I'm doing the final signing next week, I think, in Brussels, because to me, Europe is kind of the best place for this sort of thing. Europe has the right kind of attitude to social justice, to history, to humanity. I don't know. I don't think it should be in the US. Sorry, I don't think it can be in China. I think Europe is kind of where we can do this sort of thing. And you just see the history of the last decade or so in technology, how much has been done around GDPR and privacy, and that kind of initiative is great. So there is a website, you can go and check it out, openedtech.global. And the goal is, how do we create a global, high-quality infrastructure for all educators and learners? And the idea is it's something we build, it's going to come in the future. Maybe go from now, which is Moodle and Big Blue Button and all sorts of other things, to this future picture. What does it look like? And it needs to be completely based on standards. And there are a lot of standards and a lot of standards bodies, but I think the job of Open EdTech Association is to say, these are the 10 standards that are the most important that we're going to rely on. And there are some really good ones. So we don't need to make new standards, we just need to put our weight behind them. So here's a very quick picture of the main components of what this looks like. The first bit is open education resources. Actually, no, it's the Open EdTech Cloud. So the idea is all of this will sit in a cloud. Who owns that cloud? Nobody should own the cloud. Now, that's possible, right? Do you remember BitTorrent? Remember downloading movies off BitTorrent back in the day? Right, those movies are all bits and pieces all over the place. They're called blockchain. Who owns the blockchains out there? Nobody can put their finger on where it's all over the place. Who owns email? Nobody owns email. It's everybody contributing. So we can build a cloud like that for education. And in that cloud, it's 4 main things that I'm seeing. You've got something about resources, something for learners, something for educators, and something for organisations. So very firstly, the cloud. An easy way to imagine this is imagine every university said, yep, we support Open EdTech, and they put one server in their data centre dedicated to this cause, and that downloads some software onto it, and that software connects to the rest of the cloud, and now the data and CPU power can be shared across everybody, just like BitTorrents, but using newer technologies than that. And it means we can store stuff forever, because even if half the institutions turn their servers off, we don't lose anything, it stays there. And that's particularly important for learners, so that's all of us. Your lifelong record of things you've learned, it's hard to trust it in any .com or any .org or any other website like that. You need to just put it in a place that just belongs to humanity somewhere. It's just always there. So I think this is the way to build that. The second thing is about the open education resources. We need kind of a library of truth. And we have Wikipedia as a very good example. Wikipedia is very strong, it has a huge editor volunteer network to try and decide what is true or not. But not all of education is covered by Wikipedia. There are other resources, there are lessons, and there are videos, and there are all kinds of interesting activities that you want to have in there. So in this cloud, we need to work on the quality of things, and that's the most important thing. Like, what is true and what is high quality? And I mentioned MoodleNet before. It's kind of our first attempts to try and build something like that. But I think we can do more. And I want to make very clear that this pattern, there may be many tools that do the first open education resources, but they're all compatible because they all use the standards, right? So there's many pluggable technologies in here. Moodle will be one of them. An educated classroom is sort of similar to a Moodle course, but it kind of exists under the control of the teacher, not the institution. And the organisation might want to use it and include it in their organisation, but the teacher would probably own it. And this keeps the teacher in the driver's seat. In there, you have AI helping you as a teacher as well. And the learner dashboard. So this is you as a learner looking at the roads in front of you. And you have all these possibilities in your life as a career. And this needs to be a space you own. It's not owned by an institution or the government or any .com. You need to own it. And you need to have in there all of the credentials you've ever earned in your life come back. Like your permanent record of your life and your learning and things you've proven that have been assessed. How do we know they're important? I also hire people, I'm an employer. When people apply for a job, I have to look at their CV that they wrote. It's probably in a European standard format or something, and it's like, yeah, okay, how do I know this line is true? It's very difficult to know. And also when I look at that line, it might say it's from an institution. I don't know anything about the reputation of where it comes from. Maybe I don't even know what that line means. It's got some skill I'm unaware of. I don't know what that skill is. So there's a lot of unknowns when I'm looking at a piece of paper. But imagine if that piece of paper was all digitally signed credentials and I could track back. Yes, that does come from that institution, absolutely guaranteed. So there is a standard called verifiable credentials from W3C that kind of starts attaching that. But behind it, you need this web of trust. So, why is Harvard a good place? We all have heard of Harvard, right? It's an American university. Why is it good? Marketing? Is it because famous people come from there? Is it because other people said it was good? This reputation idea, it becomes we all give reputation to organisations, right? There's a web of reputation, a web of trust, and I think we can start working on how we capture that and represent that. In there also, especially as a student of life, you should have your own AI that is monitoring you, like your watch, and it's going, hey, I notice you have half an hour free time. Why don't you do a little bit of reading? Watch this video, right? It starts feeding you information into your life. Now, I wouldn't trust Google or even Apple really to do that. I would rather own that. That's my personal life you're talking about. So I would rather have ownership over that and over my learning. And the AI works with me as like a tutor. The perfect situation, right? The one tutor. It's like a tutor that supports you through your life as a learner. And organisation is the other last piece. So every company, every school, every university needs a space where the learner environments connect, the teacher environments connect, the open education resources are usable, everything connects together there. That's if organisations make sense. I think they do, but that's the argument at universities. So that's the pieces. So I'm going to skip forward. This is the website if you want to go and have a look. We have working groups right now that are working on all of these projects to try and flesh them out into more clear ideas and prototypes. And that's where I'll end. Thank you for being so patient as I went way over time, I think. Anyway, thank you very, very much.